Would you rather look rich or actually be rich? Because let's be real, most people out here aren't building wealth. They're just acting out the role of a rich person. Everything is for show. Leased cars, designer belts, overpriced dinners, while their bank account is one bad day away from looking like a crime scene. Machiavelli would have laughed at the spectacle because, as he wrote in The Prince, men judge more by the eye than by the hand. In other words, people obsess over looking successful. Instead of becoming it, they're flashing things they don't own, swiping cards they can't pay off, and staging a lifestyle that could be wiped out by a single emergency. That's the modern tragedy. A generation dressing like royalty while living like peasants. What makes this even more absurd is that the truly wealthy are invisible. You walk past them every day. They're blending in, hiding in plain sight, quietly practicing something the masses have never heard of: stealth wealth. They don't chase applause. They don't need validation. They're stacking cash, buying income-producing assets, and walking around in the same $15 Costco sweatpants like it's royal armor. No flex, no drama, just generational wealth forming beneath the surface. Today's video is about exactly that, what Machiavelli's stealth wealth really is, how the rich use it to build power, keep everything they earn, and move through the world without ever being controlled. Because once you understand this strategy, you'll realize the world is split into two groups: the people who look rich and the people who are rich. And if you're not careful, you'll spend 40 years grinding, slaving away, sacrificing your life just to retire on the cheapest food in the grocery store aisle. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the core issue: why most employees have absolutely no clue stealth wealth even exists. I'm telling you now, this might be the single most important video in the entire stealth wealth series, because I'm about to touch on truths most channels avoid like radiation. When people think of wealth, they think of the guy with the shiny Rolex, the leased Mercedes, the oversized suburban house he can barely afford, and that paycheck he treats like a snap streak. Here today, gone tomorrow. Machiavelli warned that men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that appearances alone often deceive them. And today, people are more deceived than ever. High income does not mean high wealth. That's the trap nearly everyone falls into, and nothing exposes this reality faster than real life examples. Let's start with case study. Number 1. The successful broke guy. You probably know someone exactly like this. Let's call him Mike. Mike earns $150,000 a year as an engineer. Great income, great career on paper, but the man is drowning. $900 a month payment on an Audi he doesn't even own. Furniture, financed like it's an investment. A $5,000 mortgage on a house he barely lives in because he's always at work, trying to afford the very house that's draining him. And to top it off, Mike flexes non-stop on Instagram, watches dinners, vacations, celebrations, every post screaming, "I'm winning." Except he's losing. He's one company layoff away from catastrophe. And this is the part most employees will never understand. Wealth isn't measured by what hits your bank account. It's measured by what stays there. Now, before we go deeper, hear me clearly. If you watch this video alone, you'll get the ideas. But without understanding the full stealth wealth mindset, it won't click. You need the full context. That's why the entire playlist exists. And if you're serious about this game, subscribe, because no one else breaks down wealth this honestly. Now let's flip the script. Meet Sarah. Sarah is a millionaire, a real one, not the Instagram kind. The kind with assets, liquidity, and zero financial panic. But you'd never know it. She drives a 2013 Honda Accord that she paid for in cash. She wears simple clothes, no logos, no flex. She owns rental properties, invests consistently in index funds, and you will never see her post #hustle or #boss life online. Her life is quiet, strategic and intentional, and here's where the contrast becomes brutal. While Mike is suffocating under payments and anxiety, Sarah is stacking cash, acquiring assets, and quietly building generational wealth. She doesn't need validation, she doesn't need attention, she doesn't need applause. She understands the rule the elite have used for centuries. Avoid attention, accumulate power. The Rothschilds used it, the Rockefellers perfected it, Asian dynasties mastered it. The real influential class always moved in silence. Stealth wealth is simple. Live like a normal person, while quietly becoming rich. Not cheap, not miserly, not hiding in a cave, just unmoved by the pressure to prove anything. Because in the real world, the loudest is usually the brokest, and the quietest, those are the ones you should be watching. But if stealth wealth is so powerful, why do the wealthy stay silent? That's where things get interesting, because the reasons they hide their money aren't emotional, they're strategic, and the first reason alone will change the way you see every social interaction for the rest of your life. Why the rich hide their money, the 3 Machiavellian reasons. Before that, let's get back to our story, because the contrast between Mike and Sarah isn't just about spending habits, it's about power. It's about how each person positions themselves in the world. Mike screams for attention because he has nothing else. Sarah stays quiet because she has everything she needs, and here's the truth. Almost no one understands the rich don't hide their money out of modesty. They hide it out of strategy. Machiavelli wrote that a prince is always in danger when he becomes predictable, and wealth works the exact same way. The moment people know you have money, your life changes, usually for the worse. Let's break down the 3 core reasons the wealthy stay silent. These aren't theories. They're observed behaviors, repeated across centuries of elites, dynasties, and power players who learned the hard way that visibility attracts enemies. Reason number 1. The less you show, the less they ask. This is the oldest rule of power. Never reveal more than you must. Why? Because the moment people sense you have resources, they start calculating how to extract them. You've seen this pattern. Someone wins the lottery, and suddenly cousins they haven't spoken to in 11 years reappear with urgent needs. People don't change, you just become more useful. A modern example. A man in Texas won a $180 million jackpot. Within 6 months, he received over 30,000 requests for money. 30,000 fake medical emergencies, once-in-a-lifetime business ideas, distant relatives crying into voicemails. That's why the wealthiest people you'll ever meet insist they're doing all right, even when they own half the block. This isn't paranoia, it's protection. Even CEOs understand this. More than half of America's wealthiest executives intentionally downplay their income in their personal lives. They know the rule: reveal nothing, owe nothing. And here's the irony. Most people miss. The moment you look wealthy, you stop being treated like a person and start being treated like an opportunity. That's why stealth wealth exists. But that's only the beginning, because reason number 2 reveals what real wealth is actually for. Reason number 2, real wealth buys freedom, not flash. You don't grind to impress people, you grind to stop needing permission. Freedom, not Ferragamo, is the goal. Look at people who truly made it. Jeff Bezos drove a Honda while Amazon was already worth billions. Mark Zuckerberg wore the same grey shirt daily. Ingvar Kamprad flew economy and bought second-hand clothes. Were they cheap? No, they were free. Free from signaling, free from validation, free from the game everyone else is trapped in. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that a ruler who depends on others for approval loses his autonomy. The same applies here. If your lifestyle needs applause to feel meaningful, you're not wealthy. You were enslaved. Flash creates dependency. Silence creates power. Stealth wealth is about optionality, the option to walk away, to say no, to disappear, to pivot, to protect your bloodline without interference. A man who broadcasts his wealth becomes chained to the expectation of maintaining it. But reason number 3 is darker and far more important. Reason number 3. It's safer to blend in. Ever wondered why Warren Buffett still lives in the same modest Omaha house he bought decades ago? A man worth over $100 billion living like a retired schoolteacher. Why? Safety, simplicity, camouflage. The moment people know you're wealthy, you become a target. Not metaphorically, literally. The IRS grows curious. Lawyers become attentive. Scammers sharpen their teeth. Friends expect you to pick up the bill. Strangers pitch guaranteed investments. Family guilt trips you. Politicians blame you. Everyone suddenly has a story, a crisis, or a request. In Machiavellian terms, you become a prize, something to be captured, exploited, or controlled. This is why old money families in Europe and Asia mastered invisibility. They lived in plain houses while controlling entire industries. They dressed simply while influencing governments behind closed doors. They understood abrupt. Our truth. A visible king gets assassinated. An invisible king rules forever. Stealth wealth isn't just a financial strategy. It's a survival strategy. And now that you understand why the wealthy hide their money, the next question becomes obvious. How do you actually practice stealth wealth? Not theory, not motivation, execution. The behaviors, the rules, the daily discipline that lets you build real wealth without looking rich, without attracting heat, and without losing freedom. Because in a world obsessed with signaling, invisibility is a superpower. There are 5 practical steps you must master. 5 behaviors that quietly separate the wealthy from everyone else. Before we continue, ask yourself this. If you're still here, you're not chasing noise, you're trying to understand the game. So do this. Drop stealth wealth in the comments. It tells me you're part of the small group that builds quietly while everyone else performs. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. This is the only corner of YouTube where men learn to move with power without ever announcing it. 5 practical steps of stealth wealth. How the rich actually do it. How that you understand why the wealthy stay hidden. Let's break down how they do it. O fluff. O motivation. Ust execution. Because stealth wealth isn't an attitude. T's a discipline. Code. Master these 5 steps and you'll move differently. People won't know why you're calm. How you're stable. How nothing seems to shake you. He'll think you're doing okay. How you're quietly building an empire. It is begin. Step 1. Itch the flex mentality. His is the hardest step. Because society programs you from birth to crave validation. You're taught to signal success before you actually have it. Car that proves you're rising. Watch that makes you look important. House that makes your parents proud. Machiavelli warned that men are driven by 2 principal motives. Ove and fear. ND. In today's world, most people are driven by neither. They are driven by the fear of looking unsuccessful. Here's the truth. The moment you spend money to impress people, you lose the game. Wealth doesn't need to announce itself. In fact, the richest people in your city probably look the most ordinary. They're not wearing Gucci belts. They're buying apartment buildings. They're not flashing iced out watches. They're accumulating dividend stocks. They're not posting beach vacations. They're negotiating silent deals with no cameras in sight. ND. The deeper you go, the darker the pattern becomes. People flexing the hardest. F-teen have the least. ND. The quiet ones. They are dangerous because they refuse to play the signaling game at all. This step has layers, and we'll go deeper into it in the upcoming videos in the Stealth Wealth Mindset series. Step 2. Own more. Owe less. This is where wealth creation truly begins. You buy assets. You avoid debt that drains you. You keep your life small enough that your money has room to grow. I'm talking real wealth, rental properties, index funds, businesses, cash reserves. The elite follow this rule religiously. Have you noticed how the working class upgrades their lifestyle the moment they get a raise? But the wealthy stay flat, while their assets rise. They understand a rule ancient families followed for centuries. Fortune grows when your obligations shrink. If you make 6 figures and still live paycheck to paycheck, you're not wealthy, you're trapped. Step 3. Keep your financial moves private. Let people underestimate you. This is one of the greatest psychological weapons you'll ever wield. Don't post your investments. Don't talk about your income. Don't brag about your wins. Don't hint at your net worth. Silence is an asset. Machiavelli wrote that a wise man does immediately what a fool does eventually. And in the world of money, wise people remain unreadable. They move like ghosts. They let the world assume they're average while they quietly build leverage. The elite do this instinctively. Old money families never brag. They avoid interviews. They speak in generalities. They laugh off their wealth, all intentional, because the less people know, the more control you have. Step 4. Automate wealth. Ignore hype. Everyone's chasing the next hot stock, the next crypto trend, the next overnight opportunity. But stealth wealth doesn't chase. It accumulates, slowly, predictably, relentlessly. Automate investments into long-term assets. Automate retirement contributions. Automate savings. Automate payments that build equity. The goal isn't excitement, it's inevitability. Get-rich-quick schemes are casinos for the desperate. Long-term wealth is a machine. It doesn't care about hype, trending charts, or social media noise. It grows whether people notice or not. And the best part, automation removes emotion. You build even when you're tired. You grow even when the world panics. You rise even when others fall. Step 5. Stay humble. Stay focused. This is where empires either rise or collapse. Lifestyle creep is the silent killer. Every raise becomes a new car. Every bonus becomes a new toy. Every financial improvement becomes a new liability. And once you inflate your lifestyle, you become a prisoner to it. But wealthy people stay the same, even when their income skyrockets. When they get a raise, they invest it. When they have extra cash, they buy assets. They let compounding do the heavy lifting. While their lifestyle stays simple. Real wealth isn't loud. Real wealth isn't shiny. Real wealth isn't Instagram friendly. Real wealth is freedom, and freedom doesn't need to be advertised. Now this brings us to the deeper question people always ask. Why should I stay quiet about my money? Because the moment people know you have it, their behavior changes in ways you can't predict, and usually not in your favor. Old cousins reappear. Friends expect you to pick up the bill. Strangers pitch business ideas. People call you selfish for not giving handouts. And yes, the IRS becomes a little too curious. This is why ancient elites hid money in trusts, estates, and silent partnerships. Not because they were secretive, because they understood human nature. And nothing reveals human nature faster than money. But this is only the surface, because there's one method, one psychological manipulation. People use more than anything else once they sense your wheel. A method that has drained fortunes, destroyed friendships, and ruined entire bloodlines. And if you don't know how to spot it, you will fall for it. Social manipulation, wealth protection, and the final stealth wealth mindset shift. Pay attention here, because this is where stealth wealth stops being financial and becomes psychological armor. Once people believe you have money, they don't just see you differently, they treat you differently. The shift is subtle at first, then it becomes suffocating. That's why the wealthy disappear into normality. They're not hiding wealth, they're hiding from expectations, entitlement, and emotional traps. And the biggest trap of all, the one that destroys more fortunes than bad investments, is this: guilt disguised as help. This is the #1 way people exploit anyone who starts getting ahead. Not aggression, not threats, not force. Guilt, because guilt bypasses logic and attacks identity. It convinces you that saying no makes you a bad person even when yes destroys you. Here's how it plays out. Your broke friend who never saved a dollar asks for a small loan they'll never repay. Your sibling makes a bad decision and hits you with, "Family helps family, right?" A cousin you haven't spoken to in years appears with a tragedy and an urgent timeline that must be solved today. And the moment you set a boundary, you're selfish, cold, acting different now that you have money. But understand this: they were never asking for help, they were demanding access. This is why Machiavelli warned that a ruler should avoid being too generous, because generosity is rarely appreciated. It becomes expected, and once it becomes expected, it becomes impossible to satisfy. People don't remember the help you gave. They remember the help you refused. That's why the rich stay quiet. When people think you're average, they leave you alone. When people think you're wealthy, you become the emergency fund for every irresponsible person in your orbit. And it gets worse. Once someone labels you the wealthy one, every mistake they make becomes your responsibility. Every crisis becomes your burden. Every desire they can't afford becomes your moral obligation. Soon, the emotional weight of their entire life sits on top of your wallet. That is the dark side of visibility. The IRS grows curious. Lawyers become opportunistic. Scammers circle like sharks. Friends turn into unpaid employees. Family members turn into negotiators. Old money families learned this centuries ago. That's why the wealthiest dynasties in Europe and Asia lived like everyone else. Modest homes, quiet neighborhoods, no logos, no displays, no bragging. They didn't just master stealth wealth, they mastered the psychology of survival. They knew a visible king is an easy target, an invisible king is untouchable. That is the real meaning of stealth wealth. Not pretending to be poor. Removing yourself from the hunger of other people. Power without visibility. Wealth without vulnerability. Zoom out for a moment. Most employees will never understand this. They'll keep chasing visibility, chasing applause, flexing liabilities, worshipping brands that don't know they exist. They'll stay loop-broke and exhausted, wondering why rich people don help more, unaware that the quietest person in the room is usually the wealthiest. But you know the truth now. Real wealth isn't loud, it isn't flashy, it isn't posted online. Real wealth is freedom. Freedom from debt, from fear, from pressure, from other people's expectations. Real wealth is the ability to say no, to walk away, to live under the radar, while everyone else burns out trying to be seen. And here's the part almost nobody realizes. Stealth wealth is only the beginning. It's the foundation, the entry point, the first stage of financial freedom. If you stop here, you're missing the rest of the map. Because there are deeper, low-key habits the rich use to quietly build generational wealth. Habits nobody talks about. Habits that operate below the surface, silently turning ordinary income into lifelong power. These habits are the blueprint the wealthy use to stay rich without anyone noticing. And if you want to move past survival and into true financial dominance, you need all 12. So here's what you do next. Click the video on the screen. It breaks down each of the 12 habits step by step. And once you learn them, stealth wealth won't just be a strategy. It will be your lifestyle.